I know that on Wednesdays we zoom in straight to what is happening within our communities by way of sanitation, because it's a country that if you do not take our sanitation situation, it's going to escalate and it's going to get worse. Like what we are seeing right now with the transportation system. It's unbelievable. Where people have to go to work and they are battling with transport, they are battling with the church driver, rickety vehicles, getting their clothes torn and all that. So if you do not actually hold it and nib it in the bud by way of addressing our sanitation situation, it's going to be a very great concern or issue that in the long run we'll be battling with. But we've visited a number of regions on this particular show in terms of focusing on sanitation. Today we are going to the northern region, northern region, specifically in Tamale, where we understand a landfill site there by name Bahili. It was a Gbalahi Landfill Site. Gbalahi. Yeah. And the person who can really mention it to us is our northern regional.
It's funny because yesterday we were also in the northern region where we focused on the Panda issues.
Yes.
Remember the Kanchina roads. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
on the road.
It'd be like this week is for Northern Ghana.
It's for Northern Ghana. Of course, we have to take the light to there. Everything is not supposed to be in the greater Accra region. So let's go to Gbalahi now in the northern region. Let's bring you that issue with the landfill site. And that report was filed by our Northern Regional Bureau Chief Shawana Yusuf after we have conversations here on the show.
Unmindful of the health risk involved, women and children who frequent the Gbalahi Landfill Site have reportedly abandoned farming and schooling respectively in their search for scraps to sell. The assembly member for Burma Wovogu electoral area, Hudu Yapdo, described the situation as deeply worrying.
Instead of going to school, rather prefer to come to the landfill to search for plastics and metals, subsequently sell to make money. Our women and children contract diseases from the landfill, and the children end up not being useful to society, which is a very big concern to people and opinion leaders in the communities around.
Many of the women working at the landfill site do so without any protective gear. They say the lack of alternative sources of livelihood compels them to collect and sell scraps. Another scrap picker, Madame Memunatu, says the market for plastic has declined sharply, with no sales recorded over the past 6 months. According to her, their major buyer shut down following a devastating fire that destroyed his factory.
So machine Zo tira anu chanma. Tabla nyare nendaro bakana. Kata gande songa da ko damare yaya. Tabla nyar wondara. Kamera am ala sabo. Me to garga de mamet mela na kara bandara to bakara. Kala isangam kule. Zo tin metro ko gwamdatsi. No gulen tin yenni.
Meanwhile, the assembly member for the Burma Wovogu electoral area, one of the communities affected by the landfill, says the site, which is not fully fenced, has led to pollution of nearby farmlands, significantly reducing crop yields during harvest seasons.
So this place is surrounded by farmlands. During dry season like this, the wind, when there are heavy winds, it blows the rubbers into farmlands. So farm yields nowadays is very low.
He further disclosed that some scrap pickers have contracted serious diseases from prolonged exposure to the waste.
There are infections here. The women especially have contracted infections here. And subsequently, some have been cured or some have been treated. but others pass through as a result of these infections.
For Channel One News, I am Shawana Yusuf reporting from the landfill site here in Gbalahi in the northern region.
So that is Gbalahi in the northern region, and the situation there is very dire. The management of the landfill site is a challenge. The women working there, because they are not getting the needed PPEs, they are looking at alternative livelihood of survival, and they are also trying to move out of the space in which they are so that they can do another form of work. But the big problem here is the health risk associated with this. What really has been done about the situation? For how long has this Gbalahi landfill site been in existence? We know that for landfill sites, there are supposed to be measures being put in place to ensure that the place is well kept so that people will not bear the brunt of whatever health condition or health risk it will pose, among other things. But this is not what we are seeing on the ground. It may also be that the funds that are supposed to be pushed in there to ensure that the people who are doing the work do their work well is also not being given. Because if you are not giving me the needed amount for me to do the work, certainly there's going to be a gap in there. I would not be able to really deliver what I'm supposed to deliver. But Jude, this is it. I think the sanitation situation in this country needs a serious attention. And looking at what we have seen across the country, with what we are just seeing right now from Gbalahi in the northern region, it tells you that no region is safe. No area is safe. Every space in the country needs attention when it comes to sanitation. But we'll be getting connected to some of the authorities shortly. But quickly, let me pick your thought on this, Jude, before we get in touch with the authorities.
Clearly, you know, when some of these things happen, the most vulnerable when it comes to the issues or the risks associated are, of course, women and children. But the point is that successive governments have failed to tap into the enormous potential of waste. Why do I say so? Because we read also in other countries where waste of this nature is being recycled into other valuable raw materials.
And waste is gold, actually, in other
energy.
countries.
Exactly. I've heard people say that, in fact, waste, for that matter, can be the new way, you know, you generate some kind of serious investments in your countries. And the part that hurts me is that it's not like we've not seen this happen, right? There are local examples you can cite. Top of my head, I can say Zoom Lion, of course. Yeah. It's not come with a lack of controversies. Yeah. They have their own issues they deal with. But the point is that you can say it is a good example of how you could properly utilize waste. I know they have some other plants trying to recycle. I don't know how far they've gone into that. But my point is, if we had treated this on a national front, you know, had a sanitation ministry that was minded about the value or using waste as raw material for energy creation and all of that. The point is, I don't even have to start big. It can be something small, and you gradually, you know. So you get the sense that we just want a very healthy environment, right? So we want to plead with the local government authorities to ensure that some of these things are met.
But again, like you said, a sanitation ministry, which is very important, and we need to bridge the gap between the private sector and the government. I always keep saying this, that you move to other countries and you see that they have a sanitation authority. There has been a call on the grounds for a sanitation authority to be set up for a very long time. Like I always say, in Singapore, there is a National Environment Agency, and that National Environment Agency is supervising the sanitation situation in the country. When you go to that area or that country, you see that they have about 6 million trees.
Say that again, National
Environment Agency.
How different is it from what we call the Environment Protection Agency? Authority.
Well, that one too could work under them, but for this is so different.
You went to Singapore, right? Are their roles similar?
Their roles, this role I know for the National Environmental Protection Agency would have to do with the pollution in the environment, would have to be giving out license when you want to go in for sort of mining, prospecting, you want to set up a factory and all that. But I've not seen Environmental Protection Agency going down into sanitation that much.
A part of there, I will probably have to check the act that, you know, establishes their or mandates their work. But I think a part of their work has to do with managing some of these landfill sites and also
but there is
sanitation.
Also,
even though sanitation is largely seen as a local government issue.
You would want to have a sanitation authority. There has been a call for the establishment of a sanitation authority by the stakeholders or the players in the sanitation industry. So this authority can champion their cause. Mind you, we have various authorities. We have the Ghana Highways Authority. We have other authorities that are manning other sectors in this country. But if we have a sanitation authority, that authority would be able to check whatever is happening within a particular area by way of sanitation, bridging the gap between the private sector and also the government. Because now you speak to some of the private sector players in the sanitation space, they're like, well, much attention is not being paid to us because we do not really have someone who is speaking for us out there.
Would that not create a duplication of roles? In the sense that we know that that sanitation issues are local.
Yes.
Right. So if you are going to create an authority, and we know the cost that comes with it, are you even ready for
that is going to give the structure well. Because if it's not right that it should be set up, I'm not sure that the stakeholders within the sanitation space will qualify. But maybe we'll have a broader conversation about it later on the show. But let's zoom into what we are talking about at the Gbalahi Landfill Site. Shawana, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Jude.
Good morning as well. We want to find out from you, the Gbalahi Landfill Site. Tell us exactly where it's located within the northern region and also for how long it's been in existence.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. So the Gbalahi Landfill Site has been in existence for decades. That is the major source of waste disposal, both liquid and solid, for the larger Tamale area, including people from Tolong. I understand all the way in Gbala, Tolong, Kumbungu, they all come all the way to Gbalahi to dump their waste if the need be. And this is both liquid and solid. So, and what in recent times, okay, so you asked where it's located. The Gbalahi landfill site is located within the Tamale North constituency. That is the area of Honorable Soini. And if it comes to the assembly, is under the Sanarago Municipal Assembly. Yes, it is. If you want the area-wise, it's right after Taha, and when you head towards the Snit Flat area, that is where the Gbalahi Chiefs compound is. And we've been depositing refuse here for so many years now. Both Tamale, Tolong, Kumbungu, Savalugu, all the waste that they generate ends up there if they don't find any way to, dispose it off in their various communities, through burning, which mostly is not encouraged. What you see over there are heaps of refuse that has been there for ages. Just a few years ago, the Jospon Group came up with a processing plant at the Gbalahi Landfill Site. But what we understand and what we pick, though we didn't get authorities to speak to us on record, is that they don't treat or they don't use any of this waste has been on the landfill sites for so many years. What they accept in are new refuse that comes in. So if they bring all the rubbish from town today, if it goes straight to the processing area, they will gladly take it, they will process it, they will sort it, and do whatever they need to do with it. But unfortunately, the other part of the story has to do with people who rely greatly on this waste to make ends meet, to take care of their families, their children, especially their school needs and all that there is. So that is a little background about the Gbalahi Landfill Site, and what you just saw in the video, in the story, tells you the daily hustle of women and children so far as the issue of waste management is concerned. What we understand is that most of these trucks that brings the waste to the landfill area don't even, they kind of negotiate with those women to help them to be able to get something to sell to make ends meet. Hence, because of that, they don't send it to the processing plants where it is actually, where it would actually have been used for some other purposes. They rather go and dump it on the landfill. Then the women and children, you see them when the trucks arrive, they run after the trucks, they stay beneath it, they stay around it whilst it tries to empty, just so they'll be the best to get whatever that it contains in there. So basically that has been it here in the northern region at the Gbalahi Landfill Site, where women have abandoned farming and other activities due to lack of other ways of making money to pick up these scraps, if you can call them. It could be metal, it could be plastic, for onward sale to those who would need them for processing, just so they can make ends meet. Children have also abandoned school. I couldn't talk to some of them because they were too young, but most of them were spotted in my shots. I've been walking backwards. I mean, I captured them from their back, but I didn't want to talk to them because I didn't get permission from any of their parents to interview them whatsoever. But you saw most of them during school hours, and most of them will be there from morning to evening. The very sad part of it is that they pick these things without any form of protection, no gloves, no Wellington boots, no overall gears that will cover them from picking up any form of infection, or maybe some deep cuts during the picking processes. So basically, that is just an overview of what the Gbalahi landfill site is like and what happens there on the daily.
Good. So when you visited the landfill site, was the management of the place top-notch? Did you see any work ongoing there to ensure that the landfill site is really put to shape and the health risk that the residents or the market or the women will be faced with is being managed? Is that something like that there?
Well, so let me be quick to add that this landfill site we're talking about hasn't got any form of fencing around it. So even if management want to manage the situation, people get to enter the space from a lot of angles. And the very day we went, the only person I saw, so far as managers of the landfill area is concerned, is just the security person who was there on the day of our visit. And yes, so on the daily, there's children, there's women, at times young men are spotted coming through to pick. What else can you tell them so far as hygiene is concerned, so far as taking care of themselves is concerned while picking? They have very little. Management have little, close to nothing to do about this particular situation. But one key thing that actually was of interest is that those women are willing and ready to switch to other source of employment. If they can get any form of employment, anything they can do that can, a decent form for that matter, that can bring them money, they are willing and ready to hop onto that. But the question is, where are they getting it from? They need any form of it could be training that can lead them to some form of menial jobs that will bring them some money or bring food on their table. They are open to that. But as it stands currently, sadly, I spotted one of the women we spoke to was a pregnant woman. And she tells us that it's not actually easy. The day I actually got there, the temperature level around the landfill site was quite different. My phone kept giving me a notice that temperature too high, it has to cool before I continue. And that is because there is a lot of burning going on around on the landfill site. And then, yes, the heat in that area is really bad. Wow. But these women have no option. And according to them, they've been picking for over 6 months now. Nobody comes to buy. Their major buyer, who they were so certain used to come some months ago, unfortunately had his factory gutted by fire. And because of that, he doesn't come to purchase the bottles when they pick them. So as it stands, they don't have buyers. They just go there every day to pick and keep, with the hope that one day somebody will just come to their aid and say, hey, I'm buying these bottles, how much is it? And then they are available to be sold. But as it stands, they are just doing all this with no hope in sight in the first place. So they want something that, some form of job that they can switch to, that is more decent and healthy and can bring food on the table on the daily. They tell us that their major concern has to do with their children and their education. And because of that, they can't sit at home, watch these children not go to school because of common chop money, or not go to school because their uniforms are tattered and they don't have books to study. So because of that, they just come out on the daily to try to make ends meet.
All right, Shawana, you'll still be on the line for us. We'll come back to you pretty shortly. But we have on the line Hudu Yabdu, who is an assembly member of the Gberima Wovogu electoral area. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning, Mr. Jude, and good morning to your viewers as well.
Amazing. Can you explain to us, are you aware of this situation you are referring to in the Gbalahi area? And what are assembly members doing about it?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, let me paint a picture of how the place looks like and where it is located properly. The landfill site is an open-air landfill that smolders constantly every day. And to the east of the landfill is the Gbalahi community, which is a rural community. And to the west is also Gbalahi community. And this landfill that serves the greater Tamale area, popularly called the Gbalahi Landfill, has been in existence for the past 20 years. And the issue of management here has been very poor, very, very poor to say. That is what I can say about the landfill.
You talk about the fact that it's been in existence for 20 years. I'm listening to my correspondent, Shawana Fowler's story. We get a sense that the landfill site is, increasingly getting worse with each passing year. My question to you is, are there any measures you've put in place as an assembly to address the concerns, at the landfill site?
Yeah, so we've made appeals to authorities to come to the aid of the community by way of maybe fencing the place, because we can't ask the government or the company to relocate the place, because if they locate the place, they have to relocate it to a different place, and it will be a nuisance to others too. So we've been making appeals to authorities to at least fence the place to avoid this issue of women and children entering into the place in search of recyclable materials. And the appeals have fallen on deaf ears.
Wow, but Jude, before that, you made mention of the place poorly being managed. From your assessment, what has led to the poor management of the landfill site?
To make a point, I will say that since the inception of the landfill, there has been a little effort by managers to take care of the place, because they had a fence wall, and within a short period of time, the fence wall started falling. Within a space of 5 years, the fence wall had already ripped off, leaving the place bare. That has given the women and children the opportunity to troop in every day to look for this recyclable material.
Wow. So if someone wants to dump waste there, is it free? Or from what you've seen as the assembly member of that area, is the person charged, or whoever is bringing the container of refuse there, is the person charged?
The security at the post will charge especially these tricycles who come into dump refuse a fee, an amount of money. And as I talk to you now, the place is overflowing. It is overflowing into other people's lands and farmland.
Wow. Have you raised concerns to the member of parliament for the area, who, by the way, is a minister of state, in government? Have you reached out to him on these concerns?
Yeah, for some time now, I haven't spoken to him, but he's fully aware of the situation because he lives a little over 5 minutes drive away from the place. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. I think that's okay for Hudu.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time. And Jude, I like what you just wrote. A quick research on what the EPA can do, right? The EPA has a number of mandates. So some of them, the environmental regulation and enforcement. The EPA also do environmental assessment, impact assessment, review and approves environmental impact assessment for proposal projects. Like I indicated, you're going to have a project or a factory that you have to go to the EPA. The EPA also has a mandate with pollution control and waste management.
Exactly. So
but relax. There is monitors to monitor and control pollution of air, water, and land, regulate the management, treatment, and disposal of hazardous and solid waste, and also set environmental quality standards and guidelines. It is there, you understand? But with this call, it's an authority that is seriously looking at just sanitation. We know of the National Road Safety Authority. You have gone around with Amaliba.
Who's the executive director?
Exactly. So their concern is to look at what is happening within the road safety space and what is happening on our roads. You understand? So if we are looking at the sanitation situation, like he indicated, the place was fenced. Eventually, we don't know what has become of the fence. We speak to the waste manager there at the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly soon, and we will ask him questions about what really has gone into the management of this place. Eventually, we speak to the Waste Landfills company MD as well and find out more details from him. But what we are trying to paint here is that at least we must give attention to sanitation.
So your proposal then is to decouple pollution and waste management from impact assessment and also like
because their mandate is too huge.
Exactly.
If we are saying that EPA, this should fall under EPA like you are arguing, agreed. But I think their mandate is too huge. And the last time too, we also made mention of the local government minister. Look at what is happening recently with the transport. Do you know that is on the next of the local government minister, the transport minister and the roads minister?
So
with the transport sector?
You see, again, we'll be interviewing Mr. Martin Aholu, who is head of waste management at the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly. Actually, we should just go to him.
Let's just speak to him. Then later we can have conversations.
Good morning and welcome, Mr. Aholu. This is Breakfast Daily on ChannelOne TV.
Yeah, good morning to you all.
Yes, I trust you.
I'm happy to be with you this morning.
Great. Except for residents in parts of the northern region, they are not happy with the level of filth with regards to the landfill site, in Gbalahi. Are you aware of this? Gbalahi, thank you very much for the correction.
But what is the meaning of that name, Gbalahi?
It's a community in the northern region, and these are from the Dagombe. So the name is in Dagbani. Actually, I'm not from here, so I've not attempted asking the meaning of the
meaning of the name. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
The question really is, as head of waste management, I'm sure this has come to your notice. I'm more interested in what you are doing to rectify this. Are there any measures put in place so far?
Yes, there are a lot of measures put in place so far. The Gbalahi is the waste treatment hub of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, or even the Greater Tamale. When I say the Greater Tamale, we have other adjoining districts that share boundaries with Tamale Metropolitan Assembly.
Yeah.
And Tamale is the only metropolitan assembly in the whole 5 northern regions in Ghana. So the level of fault at the landfill site usually is over-exaggerated. This is a landfill site. It's an engineered landfill site commissioned in 2006. We've anticipated a generation of solid waste to the tune of 100 to 200 tons daily. But this is a situation where Tamale is growing at an exponential growth, and waste is being generated at a certain level where we are now receiving over 500 tons of waste per day. The challenge is not at the Gbalahi Landfill Site. Challenge is within the metropolis, where we are having a logistics challenge, where waste has to be cut from the central business district and the various communities within the Tamale Metro and adjoining assemblies to the final disposal site. So at the final disposal site, let me tell you the kind of treatment facilities that are there. We have the landfill site. That is the traditional one that we have, and it was commissioned in 2006. It was a World Bank project, so it has all the accoutrements inside that befits it as a sanitary landfill site. Then we have recycling and compost plants, which was constructed with the support of just one group of companies called Aricop.
Which is also functioning?
Yes, it's functioning.
Okay.
Yes, so it was commissioned in the last quarter of 2024. Then we have the conventional liquid waste treatment facility. This conventional liquid waste treatment facility treats the fecal sludge from the city and into compost and other facilities. Then we have the medical treatment facility, which also targets the various clinics, hospitals within the metropolis and its adjoining assemblies to treat the biomedical waste, safely disposed so that it doesn't bring any problems. Then we have the septic treatment plants, what we call stabilization pond. It's also that was what we were using to treat the fecal sludge and the leakage from the landfill site. You know, the landfill site allows water to seep in, but with there are pipes that have been laid under the waste, such that it collects those water from the waste. And this water is highly dangerous. It's hazardous. So we have a special unit that it channels into that chamber for treatment. So this is what we have at the landfill site. So it has a lot of, in terms of waste management or in terms of waste treatment, we have all these kind of treatment facilities at the Gbalahi landfill site.
Interesting.
So it's not only the landfill site, but it is have other treatment facilities.
Wow. So you mentioned that this landfill site was commissioned in 2006. So clearly it's been in operation for 20 years now. Can you also elaborate on some of the containment measures you have in place? And when I say this, basically for the uninitiated and those who don't really understand the standard procedure with which you manage the waste, What are some of the measures? What do you do with the waste even when it's brought there?
Please come again.
Hello.
I'm not too clear with the question.
Yes, my question to you is to elaborate on some of the containment measures you have there at the landfill site.
Before, what after it's been committed?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So what we do is that we receive waste from the city in a form of unsegregated waste, bulk waste. Because Ghana, we have not started segregation of waste. So waste from the organic, metals, paper, plastic, everything boxed together is hauled to the final disposal site. So at the receiving cell, the trucks just dispose it off, and then we have a dozer that runs on it in a form of compacting the waste. Then after that, a thin layer of laterite is spread on it. Yes, so that is how in the initial stage was done. Yes, so we do that to contain the waste and also allow more space for the waste to be received at the cells of the landfill.
Okay.
Will you say that 20 years of the landfill being in existence, the management of the landfill is still top-notch?
Oh, you see, when you talk about waste management and you don't bring in more logistics, you don't bring more sustainable financing, it makes it difficult to get to that level. Even internationally, they are finding ways to stop the landfilling because it's very capital intensive. So they have now bringing more circular into the system where waste is segregated and then the recyclables is selected and diverted from reaching the final disposal site.
Very true.
This is what, going forward, this is what Zoom Lions or just one group of companies came in with the conversation that we had with it. Yes, Aricop.
Yeah,
so
that's
now
very
this
true.
time, Aricop is now trying as much as possible to make sure that all the recyclables are diverted from reaching the landfill site.
Beautiful.
So the organic fraction of it is also diverted into compost, such that we can use it to improve the soil condition of the agricultural farms that we have within the space.
Mr. Holu.
So this is what is.
But he made mention of funding into this particular space. Is it that right now we don't have enough money into it, or there are some monies that are owed, some maybe the waste managers or something? How much is really has gone into it now, or the arrears? And what is the plan for the payment?
Okay, for now, we are happy. I'm not a politician, but we are happy that
you are a
the current government. yes. So we are happy that with the 2026 budget, we have seen that government have made some provision of 400 million Ghana cedis for the Aricop. For the Aricop. So it gives a sign of relief that this time around we'll be able to be paid and they will continue the work. Once you don't pay them, they are also a business entity and they need to make profit. Even though they are trying to salvage the environment from all these faults and other things, they are also in to make business profit and pay their workers. So now that the current government have dedicated funds into that, it means that we are going to achieve a top-notch kind of treatment facility for the waste, especially for the recyclables.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
But before that, are you saying that going forward, this kind of practice where we have the waste being dumped or get to the landfill site, we should move away from that? But as the waste management heard at your municipality or metropolitan assembly. What are some of the challenges you say that ARECOP is facing? For that reason, maybe achieving this may be difficult.
Well, the major difficulty was the funding. And you know, they have started their facility to meet the demand of the Ghanaian populace. That is, the system that they have is all round in the sense that they are able to have machines that will segregate the waste into various substrates. For instance, when you bring a bulk waste, which consists of organics, metal, paper, plastics, sand, and what have you, they have the system that will segregate them into the various streams such that you'll be able to get, at the end of the day, you will get the organic fraction of the waste that you brought, which will be sent to the compost site for composting. You are able to collect the metals, the cans, and other things into different areas for that one to be sent to the aluminium companies for recycling. You are able to segregate the plastics from their whole bulk waste into a different. The plastics, they have it in grades. We have the HDPE, LDPE, and all these things. We have the light film ones. We have the single-use plastics. All these plastics are segregated on their various grades so that they were able to fit in which company or which recycling company that will receive or be the off-taker of such recyclables.
Interesting.
So the facility of ARECOP has been suited to the condition of the way Ghanaians dispose of their waste.
Wow. Thank you for your
this
patience.
Time around, yeah, this time around too, on the one front, we are looking trying to practice circular economy. So this time around, we don't see waste as waste. We see recovery or resource. And that will help us to be able to safeguard the other resources, the virgin resources that we have sustainable. So this is what I want to address for us.
I have just two quick questions for you, right?
Okay.
Yes, and of course, thank you for your patience, with us this morning. There are concerns that over the years, institutions like the Environmental Protection Authority and even the local assemblies are not best placed to deal with sanitation concerns, and for that reason, calls for the establishment of the Sanitation Authority has become rife. In your estimation, is that a way to go, looking at issues around sanitation and where the future is headed?
Yes, I think that is the way to go. It's when we have an authority that regulates the activities of sanitation in the country. I think it's the way to go, because there are lots of changes that we have in the waste stream. When you talk about sanitation and its intricacies, you realize that sanitation is not one man's job. It's an act involved with responsibility.
Yeah.
For instance, if it in terms of solid waste management, I am the who is the generator of waste. But the law also stipulates that once the waste is generated and is made available and tagged it as waste, it becomes the bona fide property of the assembly within which that waste is generated. So it makes it the bona fide property of that assembly, and that assembly is supposed to actually regulate the movement of that waste to a final disposal site such that it is disposed of sanitarily and wouldn't bring any. Waste is associated with other biological problems, chemical problems, and other things.
Interesting.
Yes. So for you to be able to do that, you need a dedicated office who will look at the various policies and programs so that it will be in conformity. It's not like a situation where Tamale Metro is doing a different thing, AMA is doing a different thing.
It will coordinate the activities within the waste sector.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
We also read somewhere last year that the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Mahama, planned or had, government had plans to ban the styrofoam, the takeaway packs as we commonly call it. There have been also enhanced calls for the ban of plastics. As a key player in the space, what are your views on these issues?
Yeah, you see, calling for banning is a bit, it's not that too harsh. It's just that it's going to throw away some people from business. But that one, if you look at it to the detriment of the economy and then to the environment, I think banning is the way to go. Because if you go around now, this is what we are harming our with. Though those packs are more handy, and so we are not able to go in, purchase those foodstuffs or food items with our own utensils and anything, but rather going for those things, do it indiscriminately. These are petroleum products which are not biodegradable. Even if it takes a longer time and not doing whilst we are alive.
Wow.
So making it impossible for us to use will help our environment to be more accommodative.
And so less of filth, right?
Yes, exactly. And in the European countries, it's difficult to ban. But what they did was that anytime you pick those things as package, you pay extra money on it.
It's true.
And even though, apart from that, those who are into the production of this are not even paying the EPR, the standard producer responsibility. They are not paying for it. So once you go and procure it from outside and we use it, now taking care of it in terms of waste management becomes the problem of the assemblies and the central government. And how much is government paying for actually containing those things, which is bigger because of the extent to which we are using it. Everybody is using it. So if you are asked to pay something small to be able to handle it, it will be good. But if the government would take a bold decision, then they should ban it because it's giving us a lot of challenges.
Wow.
You walk around the whole city and you see those waste indiscriminately disposed of, and as if we don't care about what we do in the country. So if the president wants to ban it, yes, it comes with, whatever you do, it comes with some penalty that you pay for it. But let's see whether those penalties are dire to the extent that it will affect the economy or affect the environment. If you see this one, though it will affect the economy in one way, but not too much, rather we enjoy better. So if you trade it, it's like banning it is very good. And I support what the president wants.
Mr. Holu, we are so grateful for your time. But finally, before we let you go, we are still very concerned about the state of the Gbalahi Landfill Site. Very briefly, maybe in few words, what will it take the country, right, to do to improve the conditions at the landfill site? We've read online about how other countries are generating energy and other valuable raw materials from waste. You've also spoken about other initiatives and all of that. But what can we practically do to improve the state and also make the environment much more conducive for women and children, especially?
Yeah, so what we have done is that government, through the Ministry of Local Government, have identified some Korean experts. They were here last year, And we are looking at tapping the methane gas to energy. And in so doing, we could trade on the carbon credit. So there is this facility by the Swiss government that will support us when we are able to tap the methane gas for energy. Then we are also looking at, once we are getting funds from those aspects, we will have enough money to pay for the service provider who is maintaining the landfill site. Currently, it's the waste landfill that is maintaining the landfill site on behalf of the tax.
Do you know where these currents? Do you know the background of these currents you mentioned?
Yes, they are energy sets from the Korean country. I can share with you their information, and even if you approach the Ministry of Local Government, they will be able to give you full profile of that.
And when is this supposed to commence?
They have started their feasibility study, which they were at my end last year, and we were able to assess whether we have enough methane in the cells. And they realized that the device they brought saw that we have it in a commercial quantity. And so once they come, they will be able to sanitize completely the site very well and also continue dumping. But this time, because ARICOP is in place now, the landfill site will only receive residual waste. I mean, waste that cannot be processed for recycling or for any other useful product, that will go to the landfill site. So it will be a minimal injection of waste that are more of residual. Means that we have the chunk of due tonnage being received by the landfill site.
Mr. Martin Aholu, yeah? Oh, you want to go ahead? You want to go ahead?
Yes. So we have identified these waste pickers who also actually get to them. We are about 196 in number. We've been able to form associations for them, and we have actually helped them to register the association at the Registrar General. So they were incorporated into that in the third quarter of last year, 2025. And we have started supporting them in terms of education, training, and process. And this is solely supported by the Ghana National Plastic Action Partnership. And they are supporting us to identify these waste pickers so that we can work with them, integrate them into the formal waste management policy so that we can together work. They are a bit vulnerable when it comes to the kind of job that they do because they are exposed to the chemicals, the biological agents, and they are also sidelined. And then they are being manipulated by the middlemen because when they go and pick those recyclables, the middlemen come in and say, I'll give you this for all this that we have collected. And because that person too is hard up and seriously poverty-stricken, he has no other objection than to accept whatever the middlemen are doing. So we will have to look at it and regulate those middlemen and know the standard pricing for all the recyclables that we have. So bringing them together to be able to form a formidable force where the middlemen cannot break into them and then be treating them like any other person. So they've had the backlash of being more marginalized in the public because of the work they do. But I see them as their critical agents in sanitizing the environment.
Okay.
And we need to take care of them.
Okay. Mr. Martin Aholu, thank you so much for your time. But before you take leave of us, which other sanitation issue will you want us to highlight on in your Metropolitan Assembly or your metropolis? Because it looks like there are a bit of a lot more sanitation issues in your area.
You see, we have constructed drains.
Okay.
And you know, every improvement of the road system comes with drains.
Okay.
To allow someone and other place to pass. But it looks as if most people have decided to dump their waste into there.
Oh, they are dumping their waste in the drains?
You know, this thing happens all over the country.
Okay.
Accra, when it's raining, you see people coming out to dump. And I just want to say that drains are not receptacles for solid waste. They are meant for wastewater that should flow to this place. So we need support to be able to dislodge or disperse this waste from the drain. Once we are done, then we will wage a campaign that whoever is seen dumping waste in the drains, that person will be dealt with.
Okay.
And then, yes, and the support for the cleanup exercise is on. Okay. And the communities are really happy about that.
Okay.
And we have been doing our regular cleanup exercise.
That's
and
fine.
we need to work on the attitude. The attitude is what, because if you are about funding, government can go out, all out, and look for sustainable funding. If it's about the infrastructure, government can go out. There are top-notch infrastructure facilities that are all over the world that we can tap into. But the only problem we have as Ghanaians is the attitude, the weird attitude towards sanitation. If we are able to be responsible towards sanitation, I think our country will be one of the cleanest countries in the world.
Okay, Mr.
Holu. If we decide to look over on that, then we'll still be in the next.
Mr. Holu, thank you so much for your time. He is the head waste management at department at the Tamale Metropolis or Tamale Metropolitan Assembly. I like his submission. We don't have enough time. We would have spoken extensively with him. He admitted that there is funding problem, which the government will address. He also admitted that there is an ARECOP, and that ARECOP is helping in the recycling of the waste, and the residuals in the near future is what is going to land at the landfill site. But he also admitted that there is a need for the National Sanitation Authority.
Yeah, he admitted. It was in a question I posed to him as to whether or not, you know, the authorities, the local assemblies are
because the local assemblies are overwhelmed.
Issues, and he clearly admitted to it. You know, you get the sense that Mr. Martin Aholu is abreast with, you know, the latest trends in the industry. You know, the issue clearly has been funding and how government is able to, you know, it's one thing government making budgetary allocations for, right? There's another thing actually releasing the money for the said sector. So we can only hope that, you know, the government is minded about some of these things, particularly sanitation, because the ripple effects can be quite disastrous. We are talking about the health of the country. And like they say, you know, health is wealth. You know, you can only prosper as a country.
And there's population growth as well.
Exactly. You can only prosper as a country if your people are healthy and are fit. So I'm sure government, the president, the minister for health, the finance minister, the local government minister is minded about some of these things. But while we await or hope that government is able to create a sanitation authority, even if so they are minded to do.
What can we also do in our small
existing, you know, structures in place should be looked at. So what am I talking about? The local assemblies. Every MMDC or the DCs have environmental units in their offices. The municipal assemblies have, you know, waste management departments. These people shouldn't go to the office, sit down 9 to 5 and leave. They should have proper KPIs. They should be charged with ensuring that active work is being done. what are some of the ways they can do it? Public education, sensitization, like we just saw Mr.
Enforcement.
And enforcement.
Like what we've seen the Lankwantanan Madina Municipal Assembly do, and they have sanitation task force working.
With that Madina thing they did on the traffic mesh thing, right? Yeah. If you look at the area very well, you get the sense that even the sanitation just around that area has improved.
Totally. It has really improved significantly.
So in one breath, they were trying to tackle traffic concerns, but it's also addressed sanitation issues. The point is that, see, the assemblies should be doing much more than they are doing now. We also have the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, LUSPA. It's a big authority, but for some reason, their work goes under the radar. My point is that we should be able to reach out to all of these groups and say that, see, this is the kind of funding you get. What are the results you brought on the table? We should be able to see proper results from they are literally in charge of spatial planning and land use, right? So all of these issues around landfill sites, to an extent, falls under their purview. So yes, we'll go after EPA, yes, we'll go after the assemblies, but other agencies responsible should also be up and doing. And I think that, see, it's about time we really focused on, another thing, just 10 seconds. The assemblies, they focus so much on sanitation, even though they are so, they lack capacity in other serious areas. And that sort of affects all the other, so for example, when we started a discussion, you talked about transportation. The assembly, in part, is supposed to deal with some of these issues, right? But they are so focused about baller, such that they neglect. So you may be right. Maybe we need a sanitation authority, to be the clear agency mandated fully to deal with some of these things. Because I think that, see, it's a ticking time bomb, and we can't continue to, treat it as business as usual, because it gets to a point where it completely gets out of hand, and we are just one major outbreak away from a complete collapse. And see, we saw what COVID did to us, right? We don't want to go back to those dark times. Thankfully, Ebola didn't have such a devastating effect, right? But of course, there's a direct relationship between health, sanitation, and some of these disease outbreaks. So we are pleading that let's be minded about the very important things, and sanitation is one of those important things.
So you noticed the head of Waste Management Department, Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, made mention of the managers of the Waste Landfill Site, and we are having the Managing Director, Waste Landfills Company Limited, on the line, Dr. Peter Dagadu. We've had a number of conversations with him here on set on the Bone landfill site and Das Dam site and other landfills or dam sites across the country. But this is also under his purview. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
I trust you are doing well.
I'm fine, and also good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. I'm very well, thank you. And thanks for asking.
Thank you. Doc, first of all, I want to find out from you, what can you tell us about the Gbalahi Landfill Site?
The previous speaker spoke extensively about the site. However, it is a very critical public asset, especially for the north, where you don't have a lot of infrastructure, sanitary landfills in that part of the country. So it's a strategic public sanitation asset that should be given the fullest of attention to enhance public health and environmental health as well in that particular geographical space.
If you say the fullest attention, what particular attention should be given, if you can break it down for us?
Well, we all know how sanitation is critical. It's a critical public utility service that once it's absent can create a lot of public health, environmental health, as well as reputational challenges for all stakeholders, especially the local government authority as well. So it is very, very critical. It's an investment that needs to be protected so it can serve its functional purpose, that is to enhance the public as well as environmental health.
This being under your company and your management, how has the management been like for the past 19 years? Because you know it's in its 20th year now.
Well, the site can be counted as one of the few sanitary engineered landfill sites across the country. There are about 5 or 6 in the country as we speak now. So once this particular facility came up 19 years ago, it was something that we gave a lot of attention to. The Metropolitan Assembly, that is TAMA, went into an agreement with us since 2015 to provide management services for that particular site. Initially, the engagement went quite well until the past 3-4 years, where there has not been any funding for managing this particular site.
Oh, so you've been doing it for free for the past 3-4 years?
We have struggled to provide the necessary management interventions to keep the site in the way it's supposed to be like.
So I was asking you, you've been doing it for free, or you've been managing the place for free for the past 3-4 years? Is that it?
Well, the last payment we received was about just under 2 years ago. So for the past 2 years, we have been in constant engagement with the Assembly as well as the Ministry to see how there will be some payment so that we can continue to provide the services that we do. And without this, I must say that without any, if we don't have any minimum financing for this particular facility, then the challenges that we face would continue to persist. And this will have a rippling effect on waste management continuity and other service provisions along the value chain. So that is how the situation is as we speak now.
Okay, so if someone should visit the landfill site today, looking at what we are seeing on TV, will you say that the challenges that you are facing, which is having a toll on the management, will persist for a very long time should funding not come in real time?
Well, unfortunately, this situation will still persist. What makes it quite comfortable for us now is that we are in the dry season, and in the dry season, we do not have the challenges that we face as compared to the wet season, where it takes the effort required to manage such difficult conditions, require us to pump more resources into the facility. Once in a dry season, the operational controls and environmental controls can easily be managed. So for now, the site relatively is stable, and we can comfortably receive waste within this period.
How many men do you have on the grounds at the Gbalahi landfill site under your supervision?
Yes, we have a site manager, weighbridge attendant, janitors, we have operators, equipment operators. We have a minimum of 18 staff, 18 to 25 personnel on site.
Okay, and before you take leave, I'm sure there'll be other things you'd want to touch on, especially with the funding and also how you are managing this. But have you received any call from government officials or from the government as to plans in the long term and how this particular landfill site is going to be managed so that it runs effectively?
Well, we have been in constant engagement. Martin recently have even written again on our behalf to the ministries, together with the Metro Chief Executive. So there has been constant engagement on how to get this issue resolved. There has to be some form of central government funding. There has to be some funding because managing landfill sites normally is beyond the physical space of these the assemblies. It requires a lot of funding to get that done, and unfortunately the assembly hasn't got that muscle. So it falls on the central government to support. And that is where the problem comes from. Releases from the central government to support take a lot of time.
I really like that. So the central government must support. But my colleague here, Jude Mensa Duncan, was asking, you asked Martin about the National Sanitation Authority. Maybe you want to pose the same question to Dr. Dagadu. He has been in the space for a very long time. So Jude, over to you.
Thank you for your time, Doc. You know, the issue really has to do with the different roles by various stakeholders in all of this. There are concerns that the existing structure is not fit for purpose when it comes to managing sanitation in the country. Are you of the view that we need a shift from the norm when it comes to managing sanitation in this country, i.e. possibly the creation of a sanitation agency or authority to manage filth?
Well, if you look at the fundamentals, hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes. Well, the issue about an authority is quite fundamental. It's relevant to any jurisdiction that wants to be intentional about solid waste management or generally waste management. When you look at our neighbors in the Ivory Coast, they have a structure that is similar to a sanitation authority. The Senegalese do. The Lagos State government has, South Africa has, a few other countries that have been intentional about solid waste management have this structure in place just to ensure supervision, direct supervision. They have the relevant technical expertise to interface with actors within the space. So it is something that has to be done. And because the topography of waste across the country is changing, there's a need to start thinking regional. Regional in the sense that we need to start having shared facilities amongst MMDAs. For instance, the city, the Greater Accra region is made up of about 29 MMDAs. Every MMDA hasn't got the muscle to develop separate waste management infrastructure. There must be a way to have a regional facilities for them to all use. And this is where the Sanitation Authority can play a critical role in setting up these regional facilities. So we should not take this imperative for granted, and we should find ways to start moving in that direction. We were disappointed when, in fact, for my own personal position, I thought since the sanitation ministry was going to be scrapped, maybe there would be something like a sanitation authority to fill in that gap to provide that concentrated services for sanitation and waste management issues, which is very, very critical for the protection of environmental health and public health.
Interesting. We also know of the existence of state institutions like LUSPA, the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority. Will you say they have a role to play in all of this? And if so, what can they be doing as an agency to address some of these challenges we've been discussing this morning?
Well, you cannot decouple land from waste management. Waste management requires a footprint. Waste management requires brick and mortar. So land is very, very critical to any planning activity, any waste management planning activity or endeavor. So land is critical. We must zone areas for waste management. Currently, even areas that we have zoned for waste management are seriously being encroached. The Gbalahi Landfill that we have focused on this morning actually was about 10-15 miles from the city center of Tamale. But the development has caught up with the site as we speak now, and there are residential units just beyond the in close proximity to the site. In fact, the road was actually constructed from the city center to the site about 20 years ago, electricity was extended to that part of the area just purposely for that facility. So that tells you how critical this infrastructure is to city management as well as public health and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, we have not been intentional. We do not take these things seriously. So the zones, the enforcement has been very, very weak. And that has rather exacerbated some of the challenges we are facing now. So I clearly, these these stakeholders are critical, and once they are empowered to work and fulfill the purpose of their creation, we should be fine. Okay. Unfortunately, that's the case.
Okay, Doc, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure having you on set to join us to talk about sanitation issues and also to talk about landfill site issues. That's Dr. Peter Dagadu, who is the Managing Director for Waste Landfills Company Limited, and he made mention of the fact that there has to be funding, because whatever big thing you are doing, there has to be an amount of money being put into it to ensure that the work is done and is done well. Also, the fact that the government has to prioritize sanitation. Priority is very important, because if you do not prioritize it and you put it in maybe first 21 to 20 and it's at 20th, it becomes a very big problem, because when it comes to sanitation, like every other sector that we are focusing on in this country, be it roads, health, economy, education, or whatever it is, we also need to focus on the sanitation sector or industry to ensure that whatever work we are doing will also help the environment. I always say this: the big man who is sitting in his office, eating that food, drinking the water, using that waste, that paper bag or whatever, or the polythene bag or whatever, where is his final destination? That is what we are supposed to have at the back of our mind. Like Mr. Martin Aholu indicated, you have been to Canada, so maybe you know what it is.
I don't want to play tickets for me.
You see,
I mean, what I need tickets.
When you move outside the country, you always want to use other countries as a yardstick. The reason is, when you go there, you buy something, maybe water, or you buy food, and you're asking for a paper bag or a polythene. The next minute they'll ask you is to pay for it.
Yeah, they charge you. That's true.
And it's a way to this sort of that encouragement is not there for you to This encouragement there.
There's a word for it. There's a tax name for it. Yeah.
Good.
But yeah.
So it's actually going to tell you that
tax.
Yes, it's going to tell you that, hey, I need not to take this because it's going to add up to my cost that I'm already spending, or the money I'm already spending. So when you're moving out, you either take something that will help you carry your food around. If you have a paper bag or you have a polythene bag, you're going to use that polythene bag or that paper bag for a very long time. So I think that it's a conversation that we must have. We must sit down. We must talk about. The sanitation sector must be prioritized. We just can't look at it and with just one eye and go and sleep, and the next minute we come and say we want to do this for this industry or this sector, and we go and sleep again. No, it's a very big problem that has to be dealt with in this country. And I think the president has made some moves with the styrofoam thing that you made mention of, that the president was asking for it to be banned, and also some actions that have been taken by the presidency or the government. But there need to be a step further. We have to go beyond what we are saying, because as the population increases, whoever thought that the population growth in Tamale is going to be that huge, and eventually it's going to have a toll on our sanitation situation. The population in the Volta region, specifically in its capital city, is going to be huge, and it's going to have a toll on this sanitation situation. Exactly. You go to Ashanti region, Kumasi, we will go there, maybe, and the population has increased. So I like what Bernard Avles said. He said something that you make money where there is chaos. So once there is chaos, you can make money.
Yeah, and that can be through the nuisance tax you talk about.
Nuisance tax, you are going to buy, you are charging you on that, and or you dump waste stamps indiscriminately, you are being charged for it. You would create an avenue where people can now get their waste from their homes. We've had challenges when it comes to
because even right here at ChannelOne TV and CTFM, I recall this whole war against indiscipline.
Yes.
You know, and there was a time after running the campaign for a period.
The amount of money we generated.
Exactly, the police, you know, so you're right. There are some gains make money to be made from indiscipline, right? But this is not, okay, it's also indiscipline in the sense that people indiscriminately sometimes also throw around their waste. But Philip, I have just one thing to add to this. All of the ideas, great. Government, release funds, it's important. In fact, if not the most important. But we also can't disregard the individual responsibility.
Of course, there's supposed to be a
behavioral change. There's collective responsibility. All of us as a people, government, society, local assembly, that's collective, right? Then there's also individual. Individual in the sense that we need to be responsible for our own way of disposing waste.
We should be.
There was a video, I think a year or two ago, a very nice plush house in a very, you know, proper community, like Tesano. You know, for the life of me, I can't understand how somebody would do that.
You couldn't think far.
You know, then it's raining. Then you think the best way to dispose of your rubbish is pouring out
in the rain,
rainwater,
so that it gets wet.
It will end up in your house. So the point is that while we push and advocate for the collective, let's also be minded about our individual responsibilities.
But do you know when we talk more about sanitation in this country?
When
there's flood.